Hi everyone, and welcome to part 3. And this time we're going to look at the hand-to-hand phase. Now, hand-to-hand is a bit more involved than the shooting phase, so much so that I've actually got a script. So I'm going to cover a generic hand-to-hand here, not concentrating on any specific version of Epic Battles, because there is little nuances that have been added for like Napoleonic version, the American Civil War version, and also the American War of Independence. There's slight little differences, but this is generally, if you decide you're just going to play straight from the rule book and not actually play any of the sort of theatre specific rules, and this is the way to. So what is actually the hand-to-hand phase? Well, what the hand-to-hand phase is, it's the close-up firefights and a thrust of bayonet when you're getting close to the enemy, and it can be the most brutal phase in the game of Black Powder, simply because if you look at the stats, which you'll see when I set the table up in a second, most of the time in hand-to-hand you'll roll almost double the number of dice you roll when you're shooting. So let's set up the table, put a couple of units out, throw up some stats, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so we have a couple of units set up for both sides. We have the Union on this side with blue dice, and we have the Confederates on this side with red dice, and we have a commander for each. Now, as I said, this is hand to hand. Now, hand to hand takes place after shooting, but it starts before shooting. And what I mean by that is, when you come to do your command, when you come to use your command for movement orders, as in with your commander, which are covered in part 1, you issue your commands to move. You also issue your command to charge. Now, this is where it gets tricky, because you can actually charge up to three moves. So say you use leadership 8, so 8 or 7 will give you 1 move, 6 will give you 2, and 5 or less will give you 3 moves if you order them. So you could actually be, so say you can move 6 inches in line, so I mean they're 6 inches apart anyway, so this is for demonstration purposes. So say you were 11 inches away and you wanted them to charge, so you'd need to roll a 6 or less for them to get into range. Now with Black Powder you are allowed to pre-measure, so there's not an issue, so you can measure it and then you know what you need to get there. However, if you only rolled a 8 or a 7, they would still make a single move, even though they couldn't get into combat, if you know what I mean. So they would still have to follow their orders, you just wouldn't make it into combat. So a quick example, a commander is going to order that one to charge that unit. So I need to roll 2 dice, and I need to roll under his leadership. I say leadership 8, so I need an 8 or 7 or 8 or less to get them to move 1. I roll the 7, so they make it into close combat. So they're in close combat. I'm not going to move this unit. So this unit is going to shoot at this unit. So as from last time, they will shoot with 3 dice. They haven't got first fire, so they don't get the extra dice, but they're going to shoot these with 3 dice. So I'm going to shoot at them, and I've got 1 hit on a 5. So they're going to roll to try and save that hit. They don't, so that means they have taken a casualty, but it wasn't a 6 nothing, so they're not disordered or anything. Now we go into close combat. So we've done the orders. So they were ordered to charge. Done a shooting phase, they shot at them. Now we go to combat. Now, because they were ordered to charge before the shooting phase, that unit can make a reaction. So the reactions that they can make are, they can stand where they are, which is your default, you just stay still. You can use closing fire, which if you're getting charged at the front, which they are, it means you get to shoot. And if you're cavalry or horse, you can choose to evade, which allows you to move out the way of attackers. And if you're cavalry, you're always able to counter charge. So if I'm charging cavalry with cavalry, the cavalry can counter charge. If I'm charging cavalry with infantry, the cavalry could counter charge, which is not a good idea because infantry, so you lose your charge bonus and you also become disordered if you try and charge cavalry, because they will counter charge you. So not a good idea. The other thing about cavalry as well is they can turn to face. So if you charge a cavalry unit in the side, they can turn to face you. So you'll never charge a cavalry unit in the side, in the flank or the rear, because if you charge them, their response, if you don't want to invade, they'll turn to face you and counter charge you, which is not good by any means. So let's do the closing fire. So basically they'll get to shoot at them on the way in. So 3 dice and we boom again. That's 1 hit. See if you can make the save. 4 up. Nope. So they are on 1 casualty, but there's no 6 or nothing rolled, so they are fine. We're ready. We can do the close combat or hand to hand. So now there are some modifiers for hand to hand. So if you're charging, you get +1. If you win, so if this is the second round of combat, you'll get +1. If you're shaken or disordered, you lose 1. If you skirmishes, you lose 1. And if you get charged to the flank or the rear, you -1 as well. So they will get +1. But they don't get anything because they're +1 because they charged. Now, by the old stats, it's 6 dice for hand to hand, and they've got 6 dice for hand to hand. Now, these normally, like with shooting, you need a 4 to hit, but they got a +1. So now you need 3 to hit. It's one thing that confuses me a bit about Black Powder is when they say +1, your actual dice roll goes down. So it's 4 to hit, +1, 3 to hit. You see what I mean? A bit confusing that, but so 3s, and we get, ooh, that was good, 5 hits. That's 5 hits, and we've got 2 6s there, so that disorders them. Oh dear, disordered, not good. So let's try and do the saves. So need 4 ups, and we saved 3 of them, so only 2 went through. So they're on 2. Okay, because it's close combat, it's simultaneously, so the Confederates are now going to fight back. Again, 6 dice, needing 4s. And they get 3 hits. Again, they've disordered them. So we've got to do 3 saves. Now this could go bad, this, because they're already on 1 casualty. So I need 3 4-ups. Oh, one's got through. Now they've taken 1 casualty. Now you have to work out the combat. And you work out the combat by how many casualties were inflicted during the combat. Now, though the Union are on 2 and the Confederates are on 2, the Confederates sustained their 2 casualties from close combat. The Union sustained theirs from 1 from the closing fire and 1 from the combat. However, because this unit is within 3 inches of that unit, they give a +1 supporting bonus. So that then turns into a 2, making it a draw. So that combat is a draw. Next off, we've got the Confederate side. So now, what do I want to do? So they're locked in combat and they're both disordered. Now, what I could do is I could choose to order these forward to go into combat with them. But then this unit would lose their combat bonus for the supporting unit. So what I think I will do is I will leave them here and they will shoot at this unit. So they're going to shoot at them. Again, 3 dice and needing 4 or more. And I get 1 hit, which is a pretty poor showing really. And then the unit going to try and save it. 4 up. Nope. So that unit is on 1 casualty. Right. So now we go back to round 2 of the combat. So this time they'll go. Now, remember I mentioned about the bonuses. You get a bonus if you're winning. However, it's a draw. So the Union will not get a bonus to their attack. However, both units are disordered. So they're both on -1. So whereas with the 6 dice as standard, I would need 4s to hit. Because of disordered, I'm on -1, so I need 5s to hit. So let's roll. And I get 3 5s. That's potentially 3 casualties. Move that now, turn that to 2. Because the support bit doesn't happen. Right now, so we've got to make 3 saves. And I made 2, 1's got through. That puts them onto 3, which I do believe means that they are shaken because they are at their morale value. Although the disordered is gone because a 6 wasn't rolled. Right, so now, again, 1 casualty was made for close combat, so I'll put that there. I'll change that back to 2. They were already on 2, and they've got an extra 1 for this round of combat. So now, it's time for the Union to fight back. Again, they were disordered. So they will need 5s to do any damage. Wow, that was a really good roll. They got 4 hits. However, they got 6. So the disordered stays on the Confederate side. Okay, now the Confederates need to make 4 saves, and you need 4 ups. You saved 2 of them, and 2 of them went through. So put that there. Right. Now, things become interesting. Both units are shaken now because they have reached or surpassed their morale values. And remember last time, the Confederates receive a +1 for the supporting unit. So that again turns to 2, which means both sides have now exceeded their support value, and you both need to take a break test. So let's flag them off for break tests. I use these labels. I mean, they're not really necessary on this, but if you're playing a big game with 8, 10 regiments aside, then tagging a unit that needs a break test and then playing the rest of the games, and you can come back and do the break test. Just makes life easier. So let's roll for the break test. So I'll put the break test, roll the dice, and then we'll put the break test table. You need to roll high. As you roll low, it's not good. So first off, let's roll for the Union, because they were on the receiving end of the attack, and we rolled 7, and they were 1 above there. So we'll take the 1 off, and that can then come off because it was the round, and that becomes a 3. So, and a 6 is hand to hand, infantry and cavalry. The unit retires 1 full move to its rear without changing formation, and at all times avoiding contact with the enemy. Once it has moved, the unit becomes disordered if it is not already so. If unable to comply, the unit may make 2 moves to the rear. If this enables it to reach a tenable position, if unable to comply with this further requirement, the unit breaks and is described for 4 or less above. So they have to move backwards 6 inches. So take the break test off. You have to move back. And become disordered. And because they are at their stamina value now, they are shaken, and they will remain shaken unless I attach my commander and use my commander to remove some of the casualties. Break test for the Confederates now. So let's see, need to roll high. Oh, 3, 4. They're 1 over the stamina value. So I can change that to 3 now and get rid of that. Remove the 1 off there. Score is 3, which means the unit has gone. So they have been killed off. So even though they did the attack, they come out worse. So they've gone. Casualties of war. So we go back onto the Union side now. Okay, Union, what are you going to do? Or what I will do is I will attach my commander to there, and he can attempt to remove some of the casualties and remove the shaken result of that unit. Oh. Oh. You can only use the rally order once on any unit in his brigade, but it can only be once. So you can't order rally the whole brigade. It can only be one unit in the brigade. So he's going to rally that one. So you have to declare. So this commander is going to rally that unit. So he's going to rally around me, lads. So once the commander is given the rally order, he gives no further orders that turn. So if I wanted to move him, like I said, if I want to do an order and move a unit, you have to move them first before you use the rally order. If you use the rally order, then you can't issue any more orders during the turn. You have to do an order. So the same as if I'm ordering a unit to move, I have to order them to rally. So again, 8 or less, yes, successfully passed. So now he's there going, come on lads, come on, we can do it, we can do it. And he rallies them, so they remove one of the casualties. Yes, that's right, your commander can only actually remove one casualty per turn. You can't, and you can never remove all of them. Once you've got a casualty, you're stuck with that casualty. You cannot get rid of what if a casualty. You will always have one unless you're destroyed. And the commander now has to stay with that unit for the end until the next turn, and then you can either rally again or you can move and go somewhere else. But if that unit takes casualties while he is attached, he will also possibly take casualties, and that's the only time really where you can actually lose your commander, because if the unit goes, then he will go as well. So because they're now no longer at their limit, the shaking can come off, because he's rallied them and he said, come on lads, pull your bloody act together, we've got a water win. So that's the movement phase. Now let's go on to the shooting phase, and let's shoot. So 3 dice. I could charge. Do you know what? No, I've already done a rally, so I can't. I should, because I've done close combat, I should have done a charge with them before I did the rally, but I didn't. So I've messed it up. So I've got to shoot now. So they are going to shoot at them. 3 dice, needing 4s. And yeah, got 1, which has caused a disorder. Let's see if they can save it. Nope. That puts them on 2 casualties. And you know what? They're going to shoot at them as well, if they're in range. Remember, 9-inch range for smoothbore musket. And it's got to be from commander to closest. Yeah, so they're within range. So they're going to shoot as well. Needing 4s. Nothing. That's because they're disordered. That bad shots. Oh. So now it goes back across to the other side. So they're disordered, so they can't be ordered to do anything. So all they can do is shoot. So they're going to shoot at the guys in front, because they suspect they're going to be charged by this unit on the next turn, and they're going to try shooting at them and disordering them so they can't move. So let's attempt to disorder them. Yes, they've got a disorder, so they can't move next turn, which then means that they cannot charge them. I need to make 2 saves. So here we go. Made 1, failed 1. So they are on 2 casualties. And that's all they can do. So now it's back over to this side. Now they weren't shot at, and it's their turn again. So the disorder dice comes off. Now I'm going to try and do something sneaky. I'm going to try and order these to wheel and attack on the flank. Risky move, but you don't win a battle through being squeamish, do you? So I'll move them out the way in case they make it. So I'm going to have to, it's going to be one, it's going to take 2 moves to do it. So here we go, 2 dice, and I need 6 or less for them to do it. 6, they've done it. They've wheeled into the flank. Now this is going to be really, really bad for the Confederates, or possibly might not be. It depends. 2 casualties on each side. Let's attack with the Union. So because they're charging, they're getting the +1, so they're going to be hitting on 3s. So here we go, 1, 2, 3, and we get 4 hits. So let's see if they can make 4 saves. And he only passed 1, so these 3. So that puts them on 5. However, they still got to fight back before we do any further. So they got their 6 dice. Now it normally hitting on 4s, but because they're attacked on the flank, they're at a -1, so they need 5s. So this is where you see, well, our flank attacks are really good. Because they charged, it's 3s to hit. Because they're hitting the flank, 5s to hit. So this could be painful. Here we go. And you got 1. Thing is, 1 can be enough to shaken them again. So let's see if the Union can save it. Nope. That puts them on a 3. So they are shaken. And these are really shaken. So we'll roll these first. So we need to roll 2 dice on the table. And because they're 2 above their value of 3, whatever we roll, we'll have to take 2 off. So let's roll, and let's see. 11. Goes down to 9, which is way above the bingo. Actually, let's read it, because you don't often get it this way. So stick the table up, and at 11 it says infantry, cavalry and artillery. The unit holds ground, stays where it is and does not move. So that's the best possible outcome you can get. And they're shaking. There's no modifiers, just a straightforward roll. A nice high number is needed. Oh no, they rolled a 3, which means they've gone. So because of the 3, the unit is gone. Oh, also on the rules for commanders on page 82, it says, If a general or brigade commander has joined a unit and that unit is destroyed, either as a result of shooting, hand-to-hand fighting or any other reason, then the commander is also removed as a casualty. He may not necessarily be dead. Those sensitive to such things might postulate that he has been captured or merely wounded. In any case, he is out of the battle and the model is removed. So, gone, and the commander's gone. So because they've gone, and your commander's gone, that means they can't be given any orders. Or that now returns back to 3. And it's now attack. So they can't move, so they're just going to shoot again. They could do really well here. They get good on the shooting. Nope, nothing. So they didn't do anything to them. They can't do anything. They've got no commander. Now, I'll have to check the rule book actually. What happens if a unit has no commander? I'm trying to find, because this, believe it or not, this has never happened. All the games I've played, this has never happened. I've actually got the rule book out. I'm actually looking to see what happens when you've lost your commander. To be honest, I think it'll be game over, because if you're out of range of your commander, then there's command range penalties. It doesn't say, but I would surmise that if your commander's not there, then you can't order the men to do anything, and they're going to run away. Now, if you know in the rule book where it says what happens if you lose your commander, what does the brigade do if you've got no, obviously, general, you just got a single brigade and you lose your commander, what does the remaining troops do? Okay guys, so there's a quick going over of infantry hand to hand. Thanks for watching.